Shalom and welcome to Hebrew Bible Secrets with your host, Rabbi Beaton. We continue today with the book of Mathew, starting at chapter 12. Mathew chapter 12, verse 1. 1. At that time, Yahushua went on the Sabbath day through the grain field, and his disciples were hungry, and began to pluck the heads of the grain and to eat. 2. But when the Pharisees saw it, they said to him, Behold, your disciples do that which is not permitted to do upon the Sabbath day. 3. But he said to them, Have you not read what David did when he was hungry, and they that were with him? 4. How he entered into the house of Yahweh, and did eat the lechem, panayim, the showbread, which was not permitted in the Torah for him to eat, neither for them which were with him, but only for the Kohanim. 5. Or have you not read in the Torah how that on the Sabbath days the Kohanim in the Beth Hamikdash, the temple, profane the Sabbath and are blameless? 6. But I say to you, that in this place is one greater than the Beth Hamikdash. 7. But if you had known what this means, I desire loving kindness and not sacrifice, you would not have condemned the guiltless. 8. For the Son of Man is Master, Adon, Lord, even on the Sabbath day. 9. And when he departed, he went into their Qahal. 10. And behold, there was a man which had his hand withered. And they asked him, saying, Is it permitted in the Torah to heal on the Sabbath day? That they might accuse him. 11. And he said to them, What man shall there be among you that shall have one sheep, and if it fall into a pit on the Sabbath day, will he not lay hold on it and lift it out? 12. How much then is a man better than a sheep? So then it is permitted in the Torah to do good on the Sabbath. 13. Then said he to the man, Stretch forth your hand. And he stretched it forth, and it was restored whole, like as the other. 14. Then the Pharisees went out and held a council against him, how they might destroy him. 15. But when Yahushua knew it, he withdrew himself from there, and many followed him, and he healed them. 16. And charged them that they should not make him known. 17. That it might be fulfilled, which was spoken by Yeshayahu, Isaiah the prophet, saying, 18. Behold my servant, whom I have chosen, my beloved, in whom my soul is well pleased. I will put my Ruach spirit upon him, and he shall show judgment to the Gentiles. 19. He shall not strive nor cry, neither shall any man hear his voice in the streets. 20. A bruised reed shall he not break, and smoking flax shall he not quench, till he send forth judgment to victory. 21. And in his name shall the nations trust. 22. Then was brought to him one possessed with a demon, blind and dumb, and he healed him, insomuch that the blind and dumb both spoke and saw. 23. And all the people were amazed and said, Is not this the son of David? 24. But when the Pharisees heard it, they said, This fellow does not cast out demons, but by Beelzebub, the ruler of the demons. 25. And Yahushua knew their thoughts, and said to them, Every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation, and every city or house divided against itself shall not stand. 26. And if Satan cast out Satan, he is divided against himself. How shall then his kingdom stand? 27. And if I, by Beelzebub, cast out demons, by whom do your children cast them out? Therefore they shall be your judges. 28. But if I cast out demons by the Ruach Spirit of Elohim, then the kingdom of Elohim is come upon me. 28. But if I cast out demons by the Ruach Spirit of Elohim, then the kingdom of Elohim is come upon ye. 29. Or else, how can one enter into a strong man's house and spoil his goods, except he first bind the strong man, and then he will spoil his house. 30. He who is not with me is against me, and he who gathers not with me scatters. 31. Therefore I say to you, all manner of sin and blasphemy shall be forgiven to men, but the blasphemy against the Ruach HaKadosh, the set-apart Spirit, shall not be forgiven. 32. And whosoever speaks a word against the Son of Man, it shall be forgiven him. But whosoever speaks against the Ruach HaKadosh, the set-apart Spirit, it shall not be forgiven him, neither in this world, neither in the world to come. 33. Either make the etz tree good, and its fruit good, or else make the etz tree rotten, and its fruit rotten. For the etz, the tree, is known by its fruit. 34. O generation of vipers, how can you, being evil, speak good things? For out of abundance of the heart the mouth speaks. 35. A good man out of the good treasure of the heart brings forth good things, and an evil man out of the evil treasure brings forth evil things. 36. But I say to you, that every idle word that men shall speak, they shall give account there in the day of judgment. 37. For by your words you shall be declared righteous, and by your words you shall be condemned. 38. Then certain experts in the Torah and of the Pharisees answered, saying, Rabbi, we would like to see a sign from you. 39. But he answered and said to them, An evil and idolatrous generation seeks after a sign, and there shall no sign be given to it, but the sign of the prophet Jonah. 40. For as Jonah was 3 days and 3 nights in the belly of the huge fish, so shall the Son of Man be 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth. 41. The men of Nineveh shall rise in judgment with this generation, and shall condemn it, because they repented at the preaching of Jonah, and behold, a greater than Jonah is here. 42. The Queen of Sheba shall rise up in the judgment with this generation, and shall condemn it, for she came from the extremities of the earth to hear the wisdom of Solomon, and behold, a greater than Shlomo is here. 43. When the demonic Ruach, the spirit, is gone out of a man, he walks through dry places, seeking rest, and finds none. 44. Then he said, I will return into my house, from where I came out. And when he is come, he finds it empty, swept and garnished. 45. Then he goes and takes with himself 7 other demonic Ruach spirits, more wicked than himself, and they enter in and dwell there. And the last state of that man is worse than the first. Even so shall it be also to this wicked generation. 46. While he yet talked to the people, behold, his mother and his brothers stood outside, desiring to speak to him. Then one said to him, Behold, your mother and your brothers stand outside, desiring to speak with you. 48. But he answered and said to him that told him, Who is my mother, and who are my brothers? 49. And he stretched forth his hand towards his disciples and said, Behold, my mother and my brothers. 50. For whosoever shall do the will of my Av, who is in the Shamayim, the heavens, the same is my brother and sister and mother. So that now ends chapter 12. So if we go back and have a look at some of the footnotes in chapter 12. So the first footnote we have is in verse 2. But when the Pharisees saw it, they said to him, Behold, your disciples do that which is not permitted to do upon the Sabbath day. So let's have a look at this Sabbath day. It is permissible according to Torah to pluck the grain with your hands, but not to use a sickle as per Deuteronomy 23:25. The disciples did not use the sickle, so they were not breaking the Torah, nor profaning the Sabbath. However, oral Torah forbids such a thing, but in circumstances of hunger leading to loss of life, it would be permissible. Yahushua agreed even with this oral Torah principle and shows that it is permissible in issues of hunger leading to loss of life. This would also be the case with King David, who was not allowed to eat the showbread due to loss of life, which was only for the priests. Some Hebrew people observed a fast at the onset of the Sabbath and would not eat bread until the morning Shakriat prayer. Sacrifice was offered in the temple. This was also done because they were trying to give the plants a rest. This was then considered offensive to the Hebrew people when the disciples were found eating during their set fast. The disciples were not just taking a stroll, but were being chased by the Romans, and Herod was after Yahushua, so this incident was one of life being threatened. Okay, so that's first footnote. So let's have a look at the second footnote, which is in verse 6. But I say to you that in this place is one greater than the Beth Hamikdash. Okay, let's have a look at this. One greater than the Beth Hamikdash. So this is the temple. So one greater than the temple. So then let's go to the next footnote. For this, which is in verse 8. For the Son of Man is Master, Adon, Lord, even of the Sabbath day. So let's have a look at this Sabbath day. So this is a clear reference that the Sabbath should be kept. Okay. So let's have a look for the next footnote, which is in verse 15. But when Yahushua knew it, he withdrew himself from there, and many followed him, and he healed them all. So many followed him, and many. So in the Aramaic it means many, not multitudes. Okay, so it's many and not multitudes. So the next footnote is in verse 21. And in his name shall the nations trust. So in his name, there is only one name under Shamayim, under the heaven, that is Yahweh. Okay, so in his name shall they trust. They shall trust in Yahweh and trust in Yahushua, because Yahushua was the Father. Okay. And in his name shall the nations trust. Okay, the nations. Let's have a look at this. So we're talking about the 10 tribes here. Okay. So it's talking about the nations. This specifically is talking about the 10 tribes. Shall the nations trust? Okay, so the next footnote is 25. And Yahushua knew their thoughts and said to them. So Yahushua knew their thoughts. So thoughts. So the word Yahushua is implied in the text but absent in the earlier manuscripts. Okay, so it's applied in this text, but in earlier manuscripts the word Yahushua is not there. Okay, so next footnote is in 27. And if I, by Beelzebub, cast out demons, by whom do your children cast them out? So, cast them out. Let's have a look at this. So Yahushua was not the only one who had performed miracles. Others who followed him were also performing miracles. Okay, so miracles were being performed by other people other than Yahushua. Okay. So the next footnote we have is in verse 31. Therefore I say to you, all manner of sin and blasphemy shall be forgiven to men, but the blasphemy against the Ruach HaKadosh, the set-apart Spirit, or the Holy Spirit, shall not be forgiven. Okay, let's have a look at this. So opinions vary as to what this blasphemy is, but we would suggest that if a person has received rescue and then later rejects it and says vile things against the Torah, that would constitute blasphemy to the set-apart Spirit, and this sin is not forgivable. Such as if a Muslim or Hindu came to faith and then later went back to their own religion and blaspheming the true faith and rejecting the existence of the set-apart Spirit or the God of Israel. So one is not allowed to blaspheme the set-apart Spirit, the Holy Spirit, and especially if you came into Torah and then you rejected Torah. So this is what we're talking about here. Okay, so let's go back to the next footnote, which is in verse 36. But if I say to you that every idle word that men shall speak, they shall give account there in the day of judgment. So, the day of judgment. Idle words concerning the kingdom of Yahweh. Okay, so we're talking about the Father's kingdom here, yeah? If you speak idle words about the kingdom or Yahweh. Okay, let's go to the next footnote, which is in verse 39. But he answered and said to them, an evil and adulterous generation seeks after a sign. So adulterous generation. Miracle-chasing crowd are usually short-lived and lose their faith the quickest, as they do not have anything else to hold on to. Okay, so unless you're in the Torah and you're keeping the commandments, then you have rescue, you have something to hold on to. But if you're just searching for miracles, then obviously that's all you have. And when the miracles have gone, that's it. You lose your faith. So it's about understanding Torah and coming back to the commandments. Yeah, keeping God's commandments. That's what's important here. Okay, so the next footnote we have is in 41. The men of Nineveh shall rise in judgment with this generation and shall condemn it, because they repented at the preaching of Jonah. And behold, a greater than Jonah is here. So let's have a look at this. Is here. So how did the men of Nineveh get saved without the anointed one? They obeyed Torah and Yahweh, imputed righteousness unto them by his favor and mercy. So here we are again, 2019. If you want favor and mercy, obey the commandments. Okay? If you want mercy and favor from the Father, obey his commandments. The next footnote is 42. The Queen of Sheba shall rise up in the judgment with this generation, and shall condemn it, for she came from the extremities of the earth. Okay, let's have a look at this. Extremities from the earth. Queen of Sheba came from the Kushite Empire, the edges of the earth. Southwestern Arabia, Sudan, Nubia. She was his wife, and begat him a son, Menelik I, who ruled Ethiopia. So Queen Sheba was Solomon's wife, yeah? And she begot him a son called Menelik, who ruled Ethiopia. Okay, let's go to the next footnote, which is in 43. When a demonic Ruach spirit is gone out of a man, he walks through dry places, seeking rest and finds none. Okay, seeking rest and finds none. Demons live in dry, deserted places, especially in the deserts. So the next footnote is in verse 49. And he stretched forth his hand towards his disciples and said, Behold, my mother and my brothers. So let's have a look at this, mothers and brothers. This does not mean he was denying Mary as his mother or his half-brothers. He was only illustrating a point about the faith that those who are obedient to Yahweh will usually end up becoming your brothers, while the ones who do not accept your faith will reject you and speak against you. Okay, so that brings us now to the end of chapter 12, and I thank you for watching, and I hope to see you on the other side. Thank you for watching. This is Rabbi Jeremy saying, Shalom, Shalom.